Hey Eric, this is Paul.
Hey, Paul. Nice to meet you. How are you
Likewise,
doing?
I'm just going to take a quick bio break since nobody else is here yet.
Yeah, dude. No worries.
Hey folks, how's everybody doing?
Hey, doing well. How are you?
Good, doing all right. All right, let me get the doc going here. Eric, do you typically do any work on the OTel website? Should I pull up the repo and look for stuff to look over there maybe?
I've never made a contribution to OpenTelemetry's website.
Never yet.
Yeah.
Never yet.
I have not yet.
Okay, cool. Let me pull that up. Sorry, I just came off another call that was running late, so I apologize. I wasn't.
No worries. I don't have too much to discuss. I had one follow-up thing from the previous SIG that I wanted to provide an update on, but I don't have new or exciting requests or information, so I'm just listening. Really.
Okay.
So
Well, why don't we go ahead and cover your topic while I'm doing a little prep here.
Sure. Here are two things where we were looking for folks to help with internationalization in the previous SIG. I posted in Datadog and some of the French channels in Slack and received 0 responses. So that's where that stands. But I shared it internally that if folks were interested, they could indicate interest on that issue, which I had been linked to. I think definitely like having a banner or something would be useful, but and maybe I could even add that. I used to do HTML once in my life. And the other thing was one of the New Relic folks had a question around an AWS request for some sort of like indication of stability, which Datadog also had. We asked them what exactly that meant, and they said, we don't know, we'll get back to you. And that was whatever, 2 weeks ago. So I have no update there, except to say that I don't think AWS clearly thought through what they meant by asking that request of some folks who I guess were part of the distribution, the AWS distribution. So if I know more, I'll try to share it for other teams who might care about that, but nothing interesting at present.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, so awaiting clarification on what the requirements are to be considered stable. Also, I am taking notes, but I am fully aware that many of my notes end up looking like very avant-garde spoken word poetry. So feel free to go into that document and like add whatever additional context or information so that you feel like the topic is correctly represented.
Sounds good. Paul, did you change your company name? Did you guys get acquired?
So are you talking about Neotis?
Neotis, formerly Growthgistics?
No. So Grogistics is my LLC.
Okay.
Oh,
Neotis
sorry.
is my job.
No,
Yeah, I listed you here as Neotis. Do you want me to put?
I'll do it.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Um,
I just thought it was cool. I was like, oh wow, someone had an acquisition and
Congratulations and condolences on being acquired. Although I guess you've worked, well, they acquired you whenever you started working there in theory.
Yeah, no, the Grogistics is a LLC so that I can do individual contracting, right? And underwrite certain events that may be named. So
Speaking of which, do you want to say a few words about the event formerly known as Observe 2020 Plus One, currently known as Olifest?
Yes. So there is an event that I held last year that is now called Olifest. It's in conjunction with collaboration with Liz Fong Jones as the content co-chair. Amelia is helping out actually as well. Last year, what we tried to do is be generic enough where we could accept observability talks from various different folks, but with a slant on OTel because that was sort of the hot topic last year, but super early. This year, it's not super early anymore, and the focus is still on sort of observability, but the key area is OTel. So we're working on trying to figure out who from the space really is the most appropriate to be presenting. They're kind of 20-minute talks, and we prioritize people who really know what they're talking about. It's a 2-day, half-day conference. So the first day is going to be a lot of case studies from particularly customers or people out in the space who are actually doing this stuff. Maybe pre-implementing OTel would be really fantastic. But either way, otherwise, the second day will be more geared towards what's happening around the OTel contributor space, and how we plan to really actually get to GA and or 1.0. What we're trying to do is prioritize over vendor folks. It goes customers with actual stories of what worked, what didn't, implementation details, those kind of things. Second rung is, collaborators and contributors to the OTel space. And then thirdly would be if there are that, but more on the vendor side, the CFP is open as our tickets. So, we're going to wait until the CFP closes on March 15th in order to really have a holistic view of what was represented, and then if there's any particular like trying to fit the keynote and figure out who can, who can't speak, we'll do that then. So day 2 is more tech community and contributor focused. Just a quick side question, not related to Olifest. I noticed Logs.io started pushing out information about how the open tracing is at 1.0. Is that, and I know that there were some difficulties a couple weeks ago about AWS starting to message their stuff before things were actually ready. So my question is it factually accurate that open tracing is at 1.0 at this point? Was that an approved, like, yes, we're good?
I can answer that somewhat. The short answer is yes.
Okay.
There's a blog post on, I'm just gonna send this in the, I'll send this in the Zoom chat.
Ed has a blog post, right?
Yeah, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, so the yeah, we had a blog post go out. There was a I'm not sure if either of you is on the comms mailing list or either took part or in or observed the editing process, but there was a fair bit of wordsmithing to hopefully be as clear as possible about the meaning with a topic that is doesn't necessarily lend itself to being super clear in a single sentence, I would say. So yeah, that is the official messaging around this. But yes, the short answer is the tracing spec is 1.0.
Got it. Okay. Fair enough.
There have been a few SDKs that have also released a .NET, I know, has released an official 1.0, I think not even an RC, and maybe a few others are at RC. So
Yeah.
Eric, semi-related question to like how things get in. I know that Eric, you're from Datadog, right?
yes, sir.
Datadog contributed a bunch of auto instrumentation
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you involved in that at all?
No, that was before I worked at. It was I just showed up and it was there. No, I mostly work on the OpenTelemetry. I'm a improver on OpenTelemetry Ruby, and I work on the collector as well. But I haven't been. I can put you in touch with I think Ilan is probably the person who worked on that.
That would be
I think-
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Is there what's the context or?
So the context is essentially the OliFest, right? Day
Oh,
2.
sure.
This is the type of story that I think would actually be really useful. Not so much on day 1 where it's like customer stories, but like the contributor space and the stories of what it took to get this both internally, right? To kind of work Datadog into a yes, this is a good idea, and then also like what it took to actually transition that stuff into a meaningful contribution in the space. I think that would be like fantastic as
Yeah.
part of the CF.
I can sure. I can put you guys in touch. I think for what it's worth, the level of lift was more or less just like you can have these entire repos, and Datadog did very little in the forms of actually, with some exceptions, because we have people within Datadog who work in OpenTelemetry because they love tracing.
Yep.
A lot of the work of actually porting that instrumentation over was done by the various maintainers and folks. And so, maybe the guy from Dynatrace or whatever doing the actual, rolling up the sleeves work. A lot of what Datadog did was just say like, here's a bunch of stuff, this repo, it totally works and it's easy to port over, but good, good luck. But as a sort of a way of contributing to the project. But yeah, I contributed a talk at the community day around instrumentation and some of the instrumentation that Datadog donated. So I'd definitely be happy to do an improved version of that or some, from the contributor space. I think I can speak to, if you guys are looking for CFPs, I can certainly put something together. But I think more importantly, I can have you talk to Elon or maybe Jeremy Garcia, and they can discuss whatever more broader OliFest things might make sense.
Okay. Yeah, and I think also it's not like one or the other. It's up to you guys to figure out who wants to put in a talk. But like even if you do put in multiple talks, right? We're used to that flow, and we'll figure out who and what. And I think that whoever it is that has history on it, that would be really helpful. And then also it might even lend itself into, hey, by the way, like I didn't do a ton of work, but I know 3 other people did. Well, maybe those 3 other people do a group presentation, right? And just like a quick sort of, maybe that leads itself into more of a 20-minute panel discussion about what it takes to transition contributions into the space. I think would be great.
Sure, like common pitfalls or stuff that works well, stuff that doesn't. Sure, cool. I can grab your contact info and then do the email. I'm like really bad at networking, so I'll do the email thing.
I have had to get very good at networking because of putting these events out. Like nobody's paying me to do this. I'm not really making a lot of money. I just think Hotel is really fantastic, and I think the
Oh,
community
it's
is great.
cool. It's
So-
cool. I get it. My sister's really good at networking. She's like, no, you don't. Just you have to like ask people's permission before you email them, like and include them on a CC. I don't know how it works. Cool. Me at paulbruce.io. We'll follow up. I'll try to have something in your inbox by the end of the day.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool.
Amelia, in terms of communications, I usually just sit here and I remember seeing the issue about the globalization and just kind of bumping that and encouraging that conversation, because the person who was suggesting it said, hey, there's nothing there, but it wasn't just like there's nothing there. There's like, it would be cool if, and I'd be more than happy to, there was an indication that they'd be happy to do that. So other than that, like this is only I think my second or third meeting where I just basically listen in. My thought is, in terms of one other element, I don't think you and I mean, because you and I work the OlliFest thing separately, and I'm sure we can figure that out at another time, like, how to contribute. But if there's any kind of, other notes that is just like, hey, this is happening, and the organizers would like to make sure that we're in the communication alignment with the hotel community, right? Then that would be awesome. But we can work that off to the side as well.
Cool. Yeah, and Paul, are you subscribed to the I think the CNCF manages this list, but it's like the CNCF has an hotel, like essentially a comms listserv, which so it's, I would, if you want to sort of keep an eye on comms from the hotel side, I would recommend it. Right now, the recommended process for someone who wants to share a blog article on the hotel blog involves a review cycle that is kicked off in that on that listserv. And so it is like a, to some extent, I think just subscribing will functionally be a bit of an early warning system for anything that is upcoming. It also just like, if you're into copy editing, I'd love the help. I try to get to it within 24 hours, but it doesn't always happen. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend that. And it is sort of, I think it's fairly democratic in terms of, if you wanted to, let's say, like, draft up a blog article talking about the event and have that posted on the Hotel Medium blog. I can't give you a guarantee. It would sort of be up to the group, but that would be a good starting point to kick off that conversation.
Do you suggest I subscribe as organizers at OlliFest? And that sounds marketing, or should I subscribe as me as Paul Spruce?
I would probably, it's up to you. I would probably use the human one rather than the organization one, but I'm not sure it makes a huge difference.
Okay, cool. I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And then it sounds like, I know we talked last time about global internationalization, and maybe putting a form or some way for people to raise their hand and volunteer to help with translating the docs. I don't think there's currently a ticket. I don't think there's currently an issue for that in GitHub, so I'm happy to draft that up and just put the link in this doc when it's submitted. Does that work for everybody?
Maybe I'll work with you separately about what I should post to the community list.
Yeah, actually, quick request for the sake of transparency, do you mind, and once you're subscribed, sort of sending your, as your inaugural request, just a quick summary of OlliFest and a link to the and asking that for the OpenTelemetry handle to tweet it, because in theory, anything that we're posting on that Twitter account should go through, should at least have, be given a thumbs up by someone from governance.
Yep, sure.
Perfect, thank you.
It should be in the comms. Okay. Good. More things to do.
Okay, I have done the first Slack message. Now we wait for a response. Oh. Sorry.
Cool. All right. Oh yeah, .NET. There actually is a blog post announcing 1.0 from the .NET folks that will hopefully go out this week, I think.
I'm sure that it could be any one of us inclined folks to do the copying on those kind of things, be like a proofread. But in terms of the seminal work, right, like creating it, the initial draft, who usually drafts those?
There's no limitations. It can be anyone. In order to have it posted with you as author, you'll have to create a Medium account, which I believe you don't have to pay for at all. I could be mistaken though. However, if you do have to pay for it, that is probably something that we as a team should talk about, because if you're writing content for OTel, we probably shouldn't make you pay for the privilege. But yeah, there's no real restriction on who can author that content. It all just has to go through the same editorial process. Up until now, it has been a lot of the sort of like, I guess, a lot of the involved organizations. It's been mostly us doing the articles thus far, but that's just because we're all interested. It's not like there's no restrictions on that. And I believe the request is typically to share it in a Google Doc for collaborative feedback purposes, and then typically within 24 to 48 hours, folks will jump in. I mostly do the copy editing because I'm deeply unqualified to do any sort of technical review. So my like non-technical but hopefully helpful contribution to the project is like comments like, subject verb agreement issue.
Yeah, and technical or non-technical, it's like contributions matter. So okay, good stuff.
If it makes you feel better, I'm not qualified to make a lot of the contributions I've made either.
And yet you've made them.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Liz or someone who's like really good at engineering versus me, who just like exists, to be like, this is terrible. So they're polite about it though.
Yeah.
This is a good first draft.
Yeah. But it's still like, you at least made a first draft, which is way better than doing nothing.
Journey of 1,000 miles.
In the words of the great philosopher Ice Cube, life is not a track meet, but a marathon. So
there you go.
There's a shoe reference in there somewhere. Sneakers, kicks.
All right. Cool. Awesome. All right, cool. So I have some homework here to submit an issue. It sounds like, Paul, you have a couple of action items to get the ball rolling around OliFest stuff. And Eric, you somehow came out of this with no, well, actually, no, you do an action item to email Paul.
Yeah, I am getting an email for Paul to reach out to regarding OliFest, and I'll try to put together a CFP as well, but that might take a week or two, to be honest. Cool. Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, gang. Have a good one.
Cheers.